What's going on, everybody? This is the Daily Fantasy Show brought to you by DFO. I'm Josh. It is Tuesday, December 19th.
Hi.
Avery says hi. We have a 9-game slate tonight. Another $333 qualifier. So, lots of good satellites. Got a big $8 dangle tonight. $15,000 the first. It's very top heavy. Mm-hmm. All right. You ready to go? All right.
I'm not going.
We're not going anywhere. So let's start with the first game of the night.
I just want to go home.
We are home, buddy.
Huh?
Sabatajan is back. Yay.
Okay.
You see red. That's just telling me that someone got traded. Okay. So the first game of the night is Detroit Red Wings traveling to Long Island to face the Islanders. It's going to be Tomas. I don't know why I always call him Tomas Greiss. It's Thomas Greiss against more than likely Jimmy Howard. Blashill moving Anthony Mantha down to the fourth line. That's bad news. The good news in that situation, Andreas Athanasiou has moved up to the second line with Larkin and Tatar. Almost got what I want. But that second line is attractive for me tonight. I know Greiss is really cheap on FanDuel, but I don't know if I can go there and cash. I mean, I guess you can make a case for it. I just don't like using Islanders goalies, and you know that second line for Detroit is cheap, and I really like them. Especially Larkin and Athanasiou. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Someone was making fun of me for, having the guns out yesterday. The sun was out, though. The sun's out, guns out, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta hide all the tattoos. Scares Maria and Betty away. Yeah. So, I mean, I'd be interested in using Detroit too tonight. I'm not a huge fan of Tatar, but, he is 3,800. I think you can use him. Athanasiou and Larkin would be my main target there. I'm not really sure how chalky they're going to be. I think, this game being in Brooklyn is an advantage for the Islanders because the top line for the Islanders will not face the Nielsen line, which has actually surprisingly been really good defensively. I would imagine, the second line of the Islanders might be going up against Zetterberg. Yeah, it's Tatar. It's fucking Tomas Tatar. I wish. I'm not a huge fan, but yeah, it does make sense. He's cheap and he's on the power play. Let you get in, if you want a game stack, the Islanders top line, Tampa Bay. Let's get in Boston. So get down. So yeah, I can definitely see a full case for Detroit too. I'm not a huge fan of the defenseman. If you want to use Green, you want to use Cronwall. Okay, I mean, I'm not thrilled about it. On the flip side, I think this is a really, really good matchup for the Islanders' top line and second line. The Islanders' top line has been unreal recently. They're still under $20,000 a full stack, which is cheaper than Boston, cheaper than Tampa. I think they're going to be fairly popular tonight. Yeah. But if they're gonna avoid the Nielsen line, then they're definitely one of my top plays. They're they're only one of a handful of teams who have an expected goal for over 1 tonight. Actually, it might only just be 2 lines now that who knows what the fuck Dallas is doing with their lines. But what? Okay. So yeah, I mean the Islanders definitely one of my favorite plays tonight. I think they're going to be chalky, but there's always ways to differentiate. I think the second line for the Islanders is in play as well. They're super cheap. They're actually I think almost the same price as the Detroit second line. I kind of like the Detroit second line as a whole better, but as a pair, I like Barzal, Eberle better. New York one versus Nashville one. I mean, they're a little bit different price, but I would probably lean towards the Islanders here. I think, Nashville is going to be chalky as well because it's Nashville. The Jofa line's back together, and they're at home, so we'll get there. But, yes, New York Islanders one is one of my all-time faves, and I don't use it very often, and I don't use it as much as I should, but look what they've been doing recently. They've been lighting the world on fire. Josh Bailey gonna get paid. Yeah. Oh, that's a good thing. Okay, so on the blue line, I mean, Mike Green, 4,200 for Detroit. That's, that doesn't really do too much for me. I think, Cronwall 3,000 would probably be the one I would use, but neither of them are just like, fuck yeah, I got to play you. Sorry, I'm in some kind of mood today. I'm cursing a lot. I'll try to calm that down. Letty, 5,400, is a tad expensive. If you want to use them with New York Islanders one, okay. If not, Johnny Boychuk's not bad at 4,100. Calvin DeHaan's on the IR, so, and Hickey's a game time decision, so, Pulak is in play for sure. Pellich, Mayfield, and I would not be surprised if Dennis Seidenberg broke his way into the lineup, but I don't think I would want to play him. Goalies in this game. I know on DK is a little expensive. On FanDuel, he's cheap. Thomas Greiss. Listen, he's not one of my favorite goalies tonight, and I just don't trust the Islanders enough defensively. No, I didn't. Don't put words in my mouth. I did not use maybe a few times, but yeah. So, Greiss, I'm not overly thrilled about. If you want to use him in GPP, okay. If you're, if you really need the salary on FanDuel, if you want to use him in cash, okay. I mean, it's not a strong recommendation for me, but if you're on him, okay. If it is Jimmy Howard, even if it is Peter Mrazek, whoever, probably going to fade. It's not something I want to target with 9 games on the slate. I think there are much better goalie options around the price. I honestly, I'd much rather use Ranta than a Red Wings goalie tonight. So let's move on. Whew, I'm already tired. Let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Anaheim Ducks. You're tired? Yeah. Let's move on to the Anaheim Ducks traveling to the Garden to face the Rangers. The Ducks played last night. They lost to the Devils 5-3. It's going to be Johnny Gibson against Hank the Tank.
Okay.
If you didn't see what Brock said, it's Henrik Lundqvist.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Henrik Lundqvist. If you didn't see Brock's note from before, Mika is back.
Mika?
Yeah, Mika.
Who's Mika?
So
Who's Mika, Daddy?
I would assume,
Who's Mika?
I haven't seen any confirmation, but I would assume Mika Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, Pavel Buchnevich will be back together, and they are fairly cheap. One thing I will caution you about that, you saw that the Devils' top line got back together, and they really didn't do too much last night. I mean, they had a lot of scoring chances. They didn't do anything with it. The Ducks are on a back-to-back, but this isn't Ryan Miller. It's John Gibson. He is an elite goalie, regardless of what his numbers say.
No.
But,
No.
I don't mind using that line if you're on the Rangers. Obviously, the secondary lines are in play as well. We'll see. I got to see what the lines are, really. I think, Yeah, but he's still... Well, okay. He's lead all over the place, but the Ducks aren't a very good team on the road, as you saw last night. They're a little bit leaky, but they're playing like, what is this, like 5-7? Or is that Boston? I forget. But either way, they're on a back-to-back on the road. It's not something I like targeting, as you know, so I like targeting against. So the Rangers are in play for me. Top line I like the most. It does worry me a little bit. My thoughts are not the same as on Silfverberg as your boy Jake. I do like the Rangers' second line. Yeah, I mean yeah. I mean Anaheim, when they went on that road trip, maybe had 5 NHL skaters, like maybe. So this is a legit team in front of him. They are on a back-to-back though. I think the Rangers' top line's in play, the Rangers' second line's in play. They're up there for me. I really want to see what AV does with his second and third lines tonight. I hope it's something like JT Miller, Nash, and Zook, but we will see. I would assume that's going to be a line. If that's a line, I do really like that one as well. On the Anaheim side, it's weird because the Rangers are the Ducks have the lowest implied total on the whole slate. Like that makes no sense to me. It's the Rangers. But if it is Henrique, Silfverberg, and Cogliano, I don't mind that line. I think Silfverberg probably would be the best play on that line if you're asking from a Ducks perspective. You want a water? Yeah. But overall, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. This Nash Miller Zook. Sick. Yeah, I like that line a lot. And you'd expect Hayes, Grabner, Foss to go out against Getzlaf. So, probably. I forget what. Yeah, it's probably going to be Hayes against Getzlaf. But overall, Anaheim's not really high on my list of teams I want to use tonight. There are much better spots, in my opinion. It is my opinion, however, so feel free to formulate your own. On the blue line, I don't mind Shattenkirk or McDonough, Brady Shea if you're using secondary lines. If you're going the Ducks route, which is certainly fine if you're making 20 lineups. I think I'd go Cam Fowler, then Hampus Lindholm, then Montour. In net, if you're fading the Rangers, I think John Gibson's a decent GPP play. I don't know if Ben Sagan is going to be on the same line. There's a whole bunch of uncertainties surrounding the Dallas lines. Their beat writers are just kind of like, I don't know, we're taking a guess. Some are using the lines from their last game. Some are using the lines from the practice. No, they're not. Those aren't confirmed. Those are just best guesses at this point. If you look at their beat writers, they have no idea what's going on. So you're going to have to wait and see. The best assumption is what DFO has right now, but you're going to have to wait and see for warm-up. Some have it as, Ben, and that's the power play. But even strength lines may be different. Anyway, if you're not using the Rangers, I think Gibson is a decent play. Again, I'm not a huge fan. I'll get to Dallas when I get to Dallas. I like to go in order. So Gibson's a decent play. I mean, they are back-to-back on the road. It's not a favorite spot of mine, but he is 7,300. I think it's an okay spot. Even though I think this is from a hockey perspective, I think this is a really good spot for Lundqvist. I'm not sure from a DFS perspective. From a DFS perspective, I don't know if I want to use Lundqvist tonight. He is 8,300, which is very expensive for me. Yeah, this could be an ugly spot for Anaheim. Yeah, so I mean, I don't like using Lundqvist. Anyway, this is a expensive Lundqvist. I'm going to fade. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Minnesota Wild traveling to Ottawa to face the Senators. Come on. Be smart. Got Craig Anderson against Alex Stalak. If you read Guy Boucher's quotes, he's saying that the Senators are really, what was it? Setting their mind free. It's like he's not Morpheus here. This isn't the Matrix. This is the Senators. There's a whole bunch of crap surrounding them. I don't mind their lines if they are actually what they say they are. Duchesne, Ryan, and Stone, if that's a line, okay. Yeah, I mean, they're not, they have no fucking clue what they're doing. I think, you can just plug in Erik Karlsson. He's super cheap tonight. He's 6,300. He played 32 minutes in the outdoor game. For me, I'm probably just I did, honestly, I crossed off Ottawa pretty early this morning. The Rangers are a better team than Ottawa. Don't even compare the two. I know that the Senators ended the Rangers season last year, but these teams are completely different. From a Minnesota standpoint, they're not even comparable. Yeah, I don't know. Minnesota's been doing weird stuff. Bruce Boudreau just, trying to find what works for them. While my lines load here. Tell me if they're wrong, because I have Koivu Zucker. God, my computer is just going bananas. Koivu Zucker Granlund and Stahl Nino Coyle. For me, if those are the lines, I do like Minnesota won tonight. Not a huge fan of Craig Anderson tonight. I'm not a huge fan of Stalak either. I mean, I don't mind Stalak. I think you can go there in GPPs. Senators, do still put up decent shot volume. Spurgeon is back. I think you can go there. If Dumbo's still on with Suter, I think he is certainly still in play at 4,400. I do like the Minnesota top six. Who knows what Bruce Boudreau is going to do with his lines, though. So some form of iteration of the top six is in play for me. It is a 7 o'clock game, so you will see confirmation. They're both the GOAT. Eriksson, Ek, and Karlsson. Hopefully Ek is not on the top line tonight, though. He kind of blew that spot pretty good. So on this Ottawa Senators, I really only have interest in Karlsson tonight. Minnesota is definitely going to be the top six with the defenseman. What? I'm not even going to get into this. I think Stalak and GPPs. I think, Craig Anderson's more of a fade for me, but I understand if you want to use him in GPPs if you're using Ottawa. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Boston Bruins. Against the Buffalo Sabres. It's going to be Anton Khudobin against Robin Lehner. The Bruins are on a back-to-back. They beat the Blue Jackets last night 7-2. Soon, we're almost done. Everybody on my case today. Everybody needs to relax and let me do this, and then you can ask your questions, and then if you want to continue your Twitter fight, you can take it to Twitter and fight about how fucking awful the Senators really are. Up we go. So, Boston. They're playing 5 and 7 nights. They are the second most expensive line to stack tonight. They are on the road after a road game yesterday where they put up 7. We're past the Senators. We'll just, move on. So I think, Boston is in play. I mean, I'm probably going to fade them because back-to-back on the road is just the rules that I have for myself. I like to stick to the rules. If you want to go back to that top line, I certainly think it's viable. Sabres are the Sabres. I mean, if you ever watch them play, yeah. So if you ever watch the Sabres play, them trying to leave their own zone is just absolutely atrocious. The penalty kill isn't very good. Please. So I think the Boston top line is certainly in play. I think you can use them because their PK is kind of bad as well. Leonard is an interesting play. I'll get there in a minute. But, if you're all about the Bruins tonight, I'm not going to say no. I mean, I think they're one of the best plays tonight. From a perspective that I have, I'm going to be fading them. I think, the secondary lines of Boston tonight, I don't know if you really know to go there. You can. I mean, they're really cheap. They're around $11,000. Danton Heinen had a good game yesterday. He's on the power play. If you want to go there, okay. But not overly thrilled about I don't want to take my W. If I should have played him. But I don't know if they're going to be low owned. You saw what Eichel did. He had a hat trick. Buffalo one is up there. They're 18,000 a full stack. I think they're in a good spot tonight. I think Anton Khudobin is back to the real world. He is not a very good NHL goalie. But the Eichel line will not be seeing Bergeron, and David Krejci's out, so they will be seeing a depth line, and I think they're certainly in play tonight. Maybe they're going to be low owned because people think this is a tough matchup, but I definitely want to have exposure to a team facing someone who's playing their 5th and 7 nights. I think this is a really good spot for Buffalo. Excuse me. I think if you want to use Ristolainen, that's the play. That's the way to go.
I got you.
Yeah. I think, Ristolainen at 4,900 would be the play for Buffalo because it is in Buffalo, and Buffalo gets the last change. So if you're not using Risto, I think you can use Scandella or even Jake McCabe, who has the only 2 goals for the Bruins defenseman all season, which is insane to even think about. They only have 2 goals from defensemen, and Jake McCabe has both of them. Stop. You can put them in if you want. In net, I am... Do you want to come on the show with me? You can come on and we can dispute it, but while you're free to come on tomorrow, we can rumble about it. But for me, I am fading Khudobin. Buffalo is actually pretty decent defensively. They don't give up many high danger scoring chances. Their defense is actually pretty good compared to early in the year. The problem is, their goaltending is not very good. But I think this is a good spot for Leonard tonight. He is going to see the shot volume. I think he is a decent GPP play tonight. I don't know if Leonard sucks. I think the defense around him, like the defensive numbers aren't terrible for the Sabres, but I don't think their blue line is very good. if that makes sense. But I think, Leonard's in a decent spot tonight. I like, if you look at the numbers, Ristolainen is a dumpster fire defensively. That's certainly possible, but if you look at the numbers for teams in 5 and 7 night, playing 5 games in 7 nights, it's not good. I think this could be a tremendous letdown spot for Boston. I think, Leonard is certainly in play tonight. So let's move on to the next game tonight. We have the Winnipeg Jets traveling to Nashville to face the Senators. Against the Nashville Predators. It's going to be Pekka Rinne against Connor Hellebuck. I think, Nashville top line is in a really good spot tonight. I know it's Connor Hellebuck, but Winnipeg's penalty kill is awful. The top line of Nashville's back together. The Turris line is really good as well. So I think, this will be a battle of, for me, from a DFS perspective, I want the top lines of both. However, I don't think, the top line of Winnipeg's in the greatest spot that people think they are. I don't think, targeting Nashville is one of the best things to do anymore. Rinne's been on his game since getting Kyle Turris. Their depth down the middle is crazy good. Their blue line's crazy good. I think, this is a decent spot. Yeah, Brock Besser scores goals everywhere. And he is not on Winnipeg, so... What? I just, for right now, if you want to, build DFS teams around regression, then you can do that. But for me, I'd rather use Nashville instead of Winnipeg tonight, and that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm not overly thrilled with Ryan Johansson since coming back from an injury, but, Arvidsson and Forsberg are back together, and I think that it's a dynamic duo. They're on the power play together. They're at home, which is a really tough building to play in for opposing teams with the struggles Winnipeg has defensively, especially on the PK. I think that is a viable spot. I think the second line for Nashville is also in play. That line, Turris, Craig Smith, and Fiala is getting up there in price, so, I probably go elsewhere for a depth line unless you're, fitting in that's not because Brock Besser scored 2 goals, that doesn't mean that Winnipeg's going to win this game 10-0. That's not mutually exclusive at all. Yes, Smith is on power play 1, but the thing is, Nashville 2 is getting a bit expensive. So unless you're, going with 2 mid-priced lines, like a Minnesota and then Nashville 2, I think you can fit that. But I don't think you can fit them with a Boston or a Tampa or an Islanders. But, on a Winnipeg side, if you want to use the top line, Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Blake Wheeler, I think, from a line perspective, they are one of the best in the NHL. I just think this is a tough spot for them. This isn't the best matchup. I think, if you want to spend $18,000 plus for a line, go ahead. If they pay off, they pay off. You can have a victory lap tomorrow. But for me, I think this is a tough matchup for Winnipeg. And with 18 teams playing, I think, there are better spots to go. For just if you want to use them, it's certainly viable. It's not something I'm going to do. But, if you are going to use Winnipeg, I'd probably use Jacob Trouba first and then maybe go Josh Morrissey. I also like Tyler Myers. In net, Hellebuck is cheap, but I don't think this is the greatest matchup for him. I'd probably reserve it for GPP only if you're using Winnipeg. On the flip side, Pekka Rinne is 8,000, which is expensive. I think this is a decent spot for him. I think maybe you can use him in cash if you really want to. I'd probably be more apt to use him in GPP only. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Washington top. Yeah, if you're using the top line, I would use either Yossi or PK Subban. If you're using the second line, I think Matthias Ekholm is overpriced, but because of that reason, he may go overlooked. You can use him as well. So, Washington Capitals traveling to Dallas to face the Stars. Going to be Braden Holtby against Ben Bishop. There's a lot of uncertainty about the Dallas lines. I'm not even going to try to comprehend what's going on. If Sagan and Ben are together, I like that line. If they're not together, I really like Holtby. That's really all I can say because honestly, nobody knows what's going on right now with the Dallas lines. If, Sagan and Ben together, I do really like that line. I think that's a good spot for them. If they're not, I'm probably going to lean towards fading or using Holtby. From a Washington side, I don't really like the Capitals at all tonight. This is a bad matchup for them. Yeah, that's the only thing. I did see that, if you want to use like an Ovechkin or Backstrom because of the power play. Okay. Yeah, I mean, from that perspective, it makes sense. But from a 5-on-5, this game will definitely favor Dallas. I think Washington. I'm not sure if Washington's gonna be popular, but if they have any ownership at all, I'm fading already. I hope they have some ownership. If this isn't a great spot. Dallas is good defensively. Ben Bishop isn't the best goalie in the world, but he's certainly serviceable. He's certainly capable of shutting teams out. So for me, I'm probably honestly just going to fade Washington altogether. I mean, if you do want to use the line, I think Kuznetsov and Jake Verana would be the play from Washington. But, it's not extremely high on my list of things to do. If you're going to use them, I'd probably use Niskanen with them, or if you can fit Carlson, do it. Again, on the Dallas side, if it's Ben and Sagan, I will I believe Oshie is back tonight. So Kuznetsov, Oshie, Verana, I think you can go there, but still, that'd be my preferred line, but neither really excite me too much. If you can fit in Carlson, okay. Otherwise, I'd use Niskanen from a Dallas side. If Ben and Sagan are together, I'd use them with Klingberg. Essa Lindell is a little pricey. He's above 4,000 now. Julius Honka at 3,000 if he's in is decent value. Ben Bishop, 7,500's in play. I think you can definitely use him tonight in any format. Braden Holtby in GPPs for sure. Braden Holtby gets a big bump if Ben and Sagan are not together. Let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Florida Panthers traveling to Arizona to face the Coyotes. My screen has frozen again. There we go. Stop. It's going to be... I know Antti Ranta is going for the Coyotes, and I'm pretty sure James Reimer is going for Florida. I don't know what the hell my computer is doing right now. There we go. Yeah, it's probably going to be Reimer. So, okay. I love the Florida top line. I mean, I love them. I think they're going to be really popular because people like to pick on Arizona. But I think I may be using Ronta tonight again. Once you get past the top line of Florida, it gets a bit dicey. The Coyotes, okay. At the beginning of the season, I thought the Coyotes may contend for a playoff spot. I didn't think they were going to make it, but I thought they'd at least contend. Obviously, that's not going to happen. They've had some rough stretches. But for me, if you're not using the Florida top line, which I think is one of the better plays, I think you can use Ronta tonight. He is the cheapest. He is 7,000. He's going to see shot volume from Florida for sure. I think Ronta is certainly in play. It is a scary proposition. Fasten your seatbelt, but. This is Florida for a second. Vinny Trocheck at 7,200 is kind of insanely expensive. He's probably going to be super low owned because of that. Yeah. So the top line is Barkov, Huberdeau, Dadonov, and I think that is one of the better lines in the National Hockey League. Again, I'm not huge on targeting teams in Arizona. I think the Coyotes play decent at home. I think they're better defensively than people give them credit for. Ronta is finally healthy. I know he didn't play great against Pittsburgh. He didn't play great against Tampa. But he just kept the team in the game, giving them a chance to win. So I wouldn't rule out Ronta tonight if you're not using Florida 1. On the Arizona side, for me, let's see. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the second line. Well, I do like the top line. Derek Stepan at 4,200, that's too cheap for him. I wish Christian Fischer or Clayton Keller were on the second line with Domi and Dvorak. So for me, if I'm going to use Arizona, and it's Florida isn't a very good team defensively. They do have James Reimer, who is very shaky. I think I'm probably going to go with something like is Nick Merkley with Fisher and Clayton Keller? That's interesting to me. But I think, whatever line you do use from Arizona, if you're going to use them, I think Oliver Ekman-Larsson's in a very, very good spot tonight. Keller, Domi, Fisher on DFO. I kind of like that, yeah. I do like that. Keller, Domi, and Fisher. Regardless of what you're doing tonight, Oliver Ekman-Larsson's too cheap. Jacob Chychrun at 3,200 is too cheap. I think you can punt with Jason Demers as well, and Goligoski. And you are just full of hot takes today. I'm not really thrilled about paying $7,800 for Reimer. I think it would be a contrarian GPP play. I think people do target Arizona because they are not good, and that's probably fine. But I'm not going to go there. I think Ronta is a decent GPP play if you want a fun roller coaster ride, and if he does sneak a win, he will pay off at his price. So let's move on to the late games. We have the Montreal Canadiens traveling to Vancouver to face the Canucks. It's going to be Carey Price against Anders Nielsen. Yeah, and Clayton Keller has scored 1 goal since then. I think Clayton Keller has 1 goal since the end of October. Well, Price is on the road. Looks like Drouin and Pacioretty are together with Paul Byron, which is interesting to me. I'm not thrilled about, Montreal tonight. I know it's Vancouver, but Vancouver's a tough team, even though they have a ton of injuries. He's from, I'm not up on my Canadian, where all my Canadian boys are from. I'm not overly thrilled at all with this game, to be honest. I will say, if Drouin and Pacioretty are together, that is attractive to me.
Oh my god.
That's really about it. If I think Jeff Petrie's in a good spot because Shea Weber's going to be out. But that's honestly about it. I'm not a huge fan of the depth lines of Montreal tonight. I'm not huge fans at all of Vancouver. I think, Brandon Gallagher you can use in cash. You can use him anywhere. He's one of my favorite players in the NHL. I don't know. Really, for me, it's if you want to go to the third line, that's fine. I don't know. They're kind of, I don't know. Really, for me, it's just going to be like Drouin or Pacioretty with Petrie. The depth lines are okay. I think I'd rather use a team like Arizona, but I certainly get the merit behind using Montreal. For Vancouver, I really have no interest in this team offensively with basically everyone out. Besser, I believe, is in. We'll see. I mean, I probably want to fade him anyway at 6,500 going against Price. Probably going to fade him at that price. Carey Price at 8,000, I think, is in play in all formats. Anders Nielsen, I don't like too much at home. I'd rather it be Jacob Markstrom, so I think, it does bump Montreal a bit. Me too. But there's that. I mean, I don't mind Alexander Edler. I think you can use him. I think you can punt with Del Zotto and Pouliot as well. Let's move on to the last game of the night. We have the Tampa Bay Lightning traveling to Vegas to face the Golden Knights. It's going to be God, my computer sucks. I need a new computer. More than likely Vasi against more than likely Marc-Andre Fleury. Tampa Bay has been in Vegas for a couple days now, so good Lord, who knows what they're doing? They're probably partying like rock stars. They're easily the most expensive line, the top line on the slate. I don't know. Forget the partying aspect of it. They're professionals, most of them anyway. I don't know if I want to spend that type of money for a team in Vegas. I think, Vegas has been playing good at home. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. See the sights. I'm probably going to fade the top line of Tampa tonight. Of course, there is merit to using them. They are the most expensive, so, I mean, you will have to get creative. It's not my favorite spot, because of the salary. You throw salary out in the wind, they're probably up in my top three. But salary does have a big factor to me fading them tonight. Tampa Bay 2, it's okay. I mean, it's not one of my favorite plays tonight either. I would probably prefer using like the second line in Nashville if we're in the same price range. Tampa's a 2 is okay. I wish Yanni Gourde was up there instead of Palat, but he's not. I don't know. I think, for the most part, almost this whole game is a fade for me. I don't like, using the road team in Vegas, and I don't like using teams against Tampa Bay either. I mean, there's if I'm going to use a line from Vegas, it's going to be the Wild Bill, Riley Smith, Marchessault line. I think that's your best bet. I mean, Eric Hall at 5,200 is pretty pricey for me. You want to use Neal as a one-off, I think, you can do that. Vegas does have cheap defensemen to offset that kind of stuff. I don't mind using a Nate Schmidt or a Colin Miller, even a Shea Theodore. For me, if you're going to use Tampa, I think you can use Sergachev is one of my favorite plays. I mean, that's another awful trade from Montreal. The kid is 19. He's a beast. Drouin is what he is. But anyway, in net, Vasi at 8,200 is a little pricey for me, especially in Vegas. It's probably a fade for me there. But if you're using Tampa and you want to use them in a GPP, I think there's certainly merit behind it. Marc-Andre Fleury at 7,300 is a scary choice tonight. I think you can use him. It's kind of like the Ronta play in Arizona. I think Fleury is a much better goalie than Ronta. He's going to see a ton of shots. Maybe Vegas comes away with a win. I think there's merit to using Fleury tonight if you're making multiple lineups. If I'm making one lineup, I don't know if I can actually put in Fleury as the netminder. So that wraps up this 9-game slate. Any preguntas? Questions? Do I think Pittsburgh let go of the wrong goalie? No, I do not. Marc-Andre Fleury is on the tail end of his career. Matt Murray is a very good goalie. Tristan Yari, very good. Are you aiming? I'm not in the qualifier tonight. I missed it, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna hop in. I'm in some satellites. What did we say here? Who's that? I need it. Who? Goalie. Favorite goalies. All right, let's do that.
Ice cream.
So I like in GPPs. In GPPs, I like Ben Bishop. I like Braden Holtby if the Stars lines are messed up. If you're spending up, I like Pekka Rinne, Carey Price. He's the same. His vision. He needs to shoot more. He's been shooting more. That's why. If he shoots more, he's going to score more. I mean, that's a simple explanation. But he always looks to pass first. But if he starts looking to shoot more, he's been looking to shoot more. Back to goalies. I don't mind Robin Lehner in this spot. I don't mind Antti Raanta in this spot. Someone said what? Top 2 skaters for me tonight. Probably John Tavares. Probably Tavares and... Yeah, you can have that.
What color is it?
Philip Forsberg. You can do that.
What color is this?
Mm-hmm.
What color is Daddy? What color is Daddy?
It's green.
What is it? What's this color? What's color?
I don't know, but he's definitely above point per game right now. If he gets close to, I think he'll go above 60 for sure. I don't think he's going to finish with 82 points. All right. Yeah, probably around there. Okay, so top stacks that aren't New York 1 and Nashville 1. Yeah, I do like Detroit 2. Okay, buddy. I like Florida 1. I like Buffalo 1. I like Minnesota. I like the Rangers. Some of the Arizona, if you really need some depth there. That's about it, really, for my top. If you want to start digging, then you go into other teams. Relax, buddy. Here, you want this one?
I got two. This one is big and this one is small.
Okay. All right, guys. That will wrap it up for today. I go Bishop.
Oh, okay.
All good. Yeah. So I'm gonna run. I got to set my lineup. Actually, I haven't even set it yet. I will be. I don't know if I'm gonna be back tomorrow. We have another. No problem, man. I have another trip with him tomorrow to the doctor. So say goodbye.
Bye.
He says bye. I say bye. You can reach me on Twitter. You can find me in the.
Bye.
Yeah, you can find me in the premium chats. So hit me up. Good luck, everybody. Win some money. Hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll give you an update in the early afternoon to see. My handle is JRH002DFS. I'll give you guys an update tomorrow, early afternoon, to let you know if I'm going to be able to have a show. So hopefully I will. And we'll see you tomorrow. Good luck, everybody.